What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Rahul Thinks. Today we'll be talking about why you're not too busy to work out. Let's get straight into it. Obviously, everyone wants to get jacked, but will you wait until you're old, fat, and looking like Jabba the Hutt, or are you going to do it now? And the number one excuse that I hear people saying is that I'm too busy. The reality is, you have more time now than you ever will in your entire life. And a big reason why I believe this problem even exists is that our culture promotes validating pretty much everything, including complacency, right? We have this body positivity movement and this all bodies are healthy messaging in our media, where it's normal to bed rot and it's normal to be fat. And look, I agree that we shouldn't hate people for things that they can't control, but we need to stop pretending that Jabba the Hutt looks healthy. And in this video, I will explain to you exactly why you should work out, debunk all of your excuses, and show you exactly what you need to do to get into the best shape of your life. So stay tuned. So, working out is a force multiplier. What does that mean? It means that working out improves every single aspect of your life. Let's start with confidence. So, on the left is what I looked like back in high school. I was in the marching band, that's me in my uniform. And I remember my band director would always tell me that the thing I needed to work on was my confidence, because I was the section leader. I had to lead all of the other trumpet players. I was a trumpet player back in high school. I had to lead all of the trumpet players to do everything. I was called the section leader. But the feedback that I would always get from the director or the teacher was that I was not confident. And I didn't actually realize what that meant until I started working out. What I mean by that is, when I was told I need to be more confident, I thought I needed to do things like speak louder, speak with conviction, and sure, those things help. But real confidence comes from within. And I didn't realize that until I started working out. Because the picture on the right, you can tell that this is a person who is a lot more confident. That was me 4 years after the picture on the left. And I had been working out for maybe 1 year when that picture was taken. And it was that big of a difference. You carry yourself differently when you work out. One, you will look better. And because you look better, you will feel better. And because you feel better, you'll be happier. That's why it's a force multiplier. Next thing I want to talk about is respect. Everybody wants to be respected, but respect is earned. You gain credibility, authority, trust, and respect when you look like you work out, because you already have sent that subconscious signal that you're the kind of person who takes their life seriously and can commit to something, to improving themselves for a long period of time. So therefore, just by working out, people will take you more seriously. Third reason to work out is your health. Working out is essentially free life insurance. We like to talk about how expensive medical care is. Well, you can get free life insurance by just being healthy. If you work out, you will get sick less. You will get less injuries. You won't get obese, which means that you have lower risk for cancer and lower risk for heart disease. You will literally live longer if you work out. And if you are one of the people who thinks time is money, which is most people, so that means working out is making you rich too, because you're saving your time, because you can live longer and you'll be able to live more years without being sick. Who wouldn't want that? You get that by working out. And finally, by working out, you will develop the right values that you need to succeed. The two values that I want to talk about are, one, delayed gratification, and two, discipline. These are two things that are intertwined with the gym, because when you work out, sure, it feels good, but most people work out for the benefit that you get much later on of actually growing the muscles. So it's not an instant gratification, whereas, for example, when you go watch a movie, you watch the movie and you instantly get your dopamine, right? Whereas when you work out, you actually have to struggle a little bit. And then you get the reward when you look at yourself in the mirror a year after you worked out. That's delayed gratification. And that's such an important thing to train, because in most aspects of your life, if you sacrifice in the short term, you will get much more rewards in the long term. Where it's just like investing. You can think of it like investing, right? You can either buy everything that you want right now, but you won't be able to buy that much because you don't have that much money. However, if you save your money, you'll be able to buy something much nicer later down the line. It's the same principle of delayed gratification. And then you also get discipline. In order to make any progress with the gym, you need to be disciplined. You need to stay consistent in order to see results. That's why I showed the picture of my habit tracker, because going to the gym helped me be this consistent. I use a habit tracker to track to make sure I'm doing everything that I need to do in the day, and it's visual proof to myself that I'm on the right track. And when you develop the values of delayed gratification and discipline, you will succeed no matter what you're doing. These are values that apply to literally every aspect of life, and you train these values by working out. That is why working out is a force multiplier. Now you might be thinking, okay, great. I know why I want to work out. Most people are already at the stage where they want to work out. However, I will always, every time I tell someone to start going to the gym, they always tell me the same thing. I don't have enough time. But that's wrong. You do have the time. You just don't prioritize working out. We always have the time to do what we prioritize, okay? If you have ever scrolled TikTok, if you watch Netflix, if you play video games, if you sit around doing nothing for any time in the day, that means you have the time to work out. You just didn't prioritize it. This is a screenshot of what my schedule looks like in a typical week. So you can see it's booked from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day. And there is a block set aside for the gym every single day. So I work out 7 days a week. So I guarantee you that you probably don't have as busy of a schedule as this. You might even have a busier schedule than this, but I promise you all the people who are busier than me are working out. So if your schedule is not as packed as this, you do have the time to work out, and you should be working out for all the reasons that I mentioned in the previous slide. Now, the best way to measure if something is worth doing is to see whether people regret doing it. It's this long-term thinking, right? Now, in the history of humanity, has anyone ever regretted working out? And I promise you there are 0 people who have ever regretted working out. However, many people regret watching too much TV, drinking, going out. If anything, people regret not working out when they were younger. So by that logic, you owe it to yourself to be working out. It is your duty to be working out. So why doesn't everyone work out if it's so great? And it's simple. The fundamental principle is that the reason to not work out is greater than the reason to work out. That is the only reason why people don't work out. So if you are one of the people who is on the fence or thinks that they don't have enough time to work out, I want you to take a moment to reflect and think about your reason to work out. Is it to be healthy? Is it because you want to be more attractive? You want to get girls? That is a reason for a lot of people. Do you want to become more confident? Do you want to have more success in your career? Whatever your reason is, this is going to be specific to you. And it's going to take some reflection. Write it down and stick it up on your wall somewhere where you can see it. I have a bulletin board in my room right next to my bed. So every day when I wake up and I leave or enter my room, I see that the pieces of paper that I've stuck up, and I write down some motivational quotes, and I've written down my reasons for why I do what I do. And it's a constant reminder. And when you are thinking about your reasons, you will continue to stay consistent and you'll actually prioritize going to the gym. The reason why people don't work out is because they're not consciously thinking about their reason for working out, and they are thinking about the reasons for not working out. And because the reason for not working out then outweighs the reason for working out, that's why they don't work out. So you need to flip that. You need to be constantly thinking about your reason for working out, and that by extension will make you stop thinking as much about your reasons for not working out. It's that simple. So, another thing that was holding a lot of people back is overthinking. And you might not think this is holding you back, but I promise if you're anything like me, it really is. So, let's think about the question of why jacked people are quote unquote dumb. Right? There's a stereotype that people who are like super buff or jocks are dumb, right? And there is a reason why all stereotypes exist, right? I actually think the reason for this is not because going to the gym makes you dumber, because that's just not true. Going to the gym does not make you dumber. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. But I think your quote unquote dumb people are better at getting jacked. I think that's the true root cause. And the reason is that because smarter people, or like the nerds, like I was a nerd for all of my life. I would still consider myself a nerd. We overthink so much that we don't take action. We get this thing called analysis paralysis, right? We think that we want to go to the gym, right? And then we start thinking, what split should I do? How many reps in reserve should I be doing in every single workout? Oh man, like I didn't have a good workout today. I guess I should, whatever I'm doing right now is not working. Let's switch to let's try calisthenics today. And we keep getting this analysis process. We keep changing what we're doing, and we don't actually make any progress. But the simple truth is that working out is so easy that literally anyone can get jacked. The dumbest person you know could get jacked, right? And they probably have a better shot at getting jacked than you do, because all they think is, let me lift weights, get big. Lift more weight than last time. And then they just do it. Whereas all of us overthinkers will just keep analyzing too much, and then we won't make any progress in the gym. So, the secret is to turn your brain off. Just pick a program. So I do push-pull legs. So it's a 3-day split. So I do chest, like pushing movements on one day. Then I do pulling movements on one day. And then I do legs. And I just repeat that over and over and over again. Okay? And just stick to it. No matter, do not, if you're a beginner, if you've been lifting for less than 1 year consistently, then just pick a program and stick with it, and you will make progress as long as you stick to it and don't change. If you need to, get a personal trainer to show you what to do, but obviously they're expensive. I didn't get a personal trainer when I started. So the easy hack to actually get started with the gym, which is what I did and most people I know who lift did when they started, is to find someone who's more buff than you and just train with them for your first like couple weeks or months. So for me, I started lifting right after COVID. I had a friend who started going to the gym. Someone had showed him how to work out, and he got pretty big. He was lifting for like a year consistently. And then we went back to school for COVID, and then we lifted together for a few months. And then he showed me everything. Then I knew what I needed to do. Before I had this, I had tried going to the gym, but I had no idea what I was doing. And to be honest, there's so much information out there online that it's very hard to figure out what's right and what's wrong. That I genuinely did not know what I was doing. So literally just pick something or have someone who's more buff than you show you, and then just do that consistently. Do not change it for at least 1 year. Once you get a little bit of a feeling for how things work, then you can start having nuance and changing your splits and things like that. But for the beginning, do not change what you're doing. Just pick any program and stick with it. So, what is the formula to guarantee results? I know we like to have guarantees, right? And I promise you, I can guarantee results for you if you do these 4 things. Okay? Number 1, you need to weightlift at least 3 times per week. Whatever split you do doesn't matter. We talked about that in the last slide. Obviously, the more times you work out per week, the better, in that you'll get your results faster. But at minimum, you need to do 3 times a week. And I know you can find time in your schedule to do it. You are not too busy to go to the gym 3 times per week. There are 7 days in a week. You just have to do the gym for 3. And you need to progressively overload. What does that mean? You need to either lift a heavier weight or lift the same weight for more reps every single time you do a lift. For example, you do bench press, you do your bench press on, let's say you do push day, okay? You do bench press. On your next push day, you either have to increase the weight or you have to increase the number of reps that you do. So the way that I progressively overload is I go for 3 sets of 15. Okay, I know that's typically high. Most people do sets of 8 to 10, but I do sets of 15 because this prevents any chance of injury. You're never going to get injured on the 15th rep. You'll get injured on like the 4th or 5th rep, or honestly, you're probably getting injured on the 1st or 2nd rep if you're ever going to get injured. So what do? I try to get 3 sets of 10 first, right? And then I try to get 10, 10, 15. And then I try to get 10, 15, 15. And then I try to get 15, 15, 15. And then I increase the weight and go back to 10, 10, 10. If that makes any sense, that is the easiest way to do progressive overload. And the increments are so small that you can almost guarantee progressively overloading every single time you go to the gym. Okay? The next thing you need to do is diet. Actually, one more thing before I talk about diet, going back to weightlifting, I use the app Strong to track my lifts. So I have an example on the right over here, okay? You essentially log all the exercises that you're doing. They also have a lot of pre-made templates that you can use. And you type in all the exercises that you're doing, and it keeps a template. And every time you do like that workout routine, you can just go there and log in your weight and your reps, and you can make sure that you're actually progressively overloading. And it's actually really satisfying when it tells you that you got a PR, or you can see how much you've progressed. It's very nice. So definitely give it a try. Next thing is diet. Now, what I think you should do is download MyFitnessPal and track your calories. So when you download the app MyFitnessPal, you can enter your stats like your height and weight, your activity level, and it'll tell you how many calories you should eat. Just use that, and then depending on your goals, right? If you you can either bulk or cut. That means do you want to like gain weight or lose weight? Most people think they want to lose weight, but I would say unless you're fat, and the way you could tell that you're fat is if you can, one, see your belly when you're wearing a shirt, or two, you look at your shadow. If your shadow has a belly, then I would cut. If not, if anything else, even if you don't have abs, you should bulk so you can actually build some muscle, okay? And track your calories. Okay, so based on your goals to gain or lose weight, enter those goals into MyFitnessPal. It will literally just tell you what you need to eat. And then use a food scale and weigh your food out and stick to that schedule. Now, when I first started doing this, I was seeing a therapist, and the therapist told me that tracking my calories was an eating disorder called orthorexia. Now, regardless of whether I actually had an eating disorder, which I don't genuinely think I did, I have always been happier when I was tracking calories and in shape than when I was not tracking calories and getting fat or skinny. So do with that information what you will. I am a huge proponent of tracking calories. Another reason that people tend to look down on tracking calories is that, oh, you're not going to enjoy your food anymore. I think that is such a cope. You will still enjoy food when you track your calories. In fact, I enjoy my food more when I track my calories than when I don't track my calories, because I know it's compatible with my fitness goals. And there's, for example, when I eat a chocolate, okay, it feels good. But when I eat a chocolate and know that I'm still going to hit my macros within MyFitnessPal, I feel so much better about it. It limits all the anxiety that you would get about eating any junk food. If you really, really, really don't want to track calories, I suggest you track your calories once and then eat the same thing every single day. Some people can do it, some people don't want to. It's up to you, okay? But you do need to watch your diet. Another thing about your diet, I keep forgetting one point before moving on, but one more point about your diet is you need to be eating enough protein, okay? I didn't put this in the slide, I should have, but you should be eating 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight that you weigh. For example, I weigh 150 pounds. That means I have to eat at least 150 grams of protein. Okay? Very simple. So track your calories plus hit your protein plus progressive overload. Next thing you need to do is sleep, because sleep is where you actually build your muscle. Okay? Now, I'm not an expert on sleep, but I'll tell you the basics from everything that I've learned. Okay? I've watched countless of hours of videos about how to improve your sleep. So 1, have a consistent sleep schedule. 2, don't use your phone before bed. 3, don't eat a couple of hours before going to bed. Don't eat right before sleeping. Now, it's pretty simple, right? If you want to learn more about your sleep, I highly recommend watching Andrew Huberman's video about sleep. So Andrew Huberman is a scientist at Stanford. He has a podcast about health, and if you're interested in that stuff, definitely recommend his videos on it. And finally, you need consistency. You will not make progress overnight. It takes years to build an aesthetic physique. It takes years for people to notice that you're the kind of person who works out, unless you're like a genetic freak. But for most people, especially people like me with the South Asian genetics, it takes years for the results to come. So you need to build consistency, right? So for guaranteed results, if you weightlift 3 times per week with progressive overload, if you track your calories, get your protein, sleep for 7+ hours a night with good quality sleep, and you stay consistent, I will guarantee you that you will see results. Not many guarantees in life. This is one of them. And finally, I just want to close by reminding you to not waste your prime years. If you're watching this video, you're probably pretty young. You're probably under 30. So please don't waste your time. It doesn't take that much of an investment to get into the gym. And the future version of you that's jacked, confident, handsome will thank you forever for working hard now to get in the best shape of your life. And I have a picture of an old man here because I like to think about what I will be like as an old man. And I know for a fact that when it's all said and done, I will be thankful that I worked so hard now to get in the best shape of my life so that I could live a happier, healthier, longer life. Now with that is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.